Hello everyone, welcome to AEC lecture number 2. So last time we have discussed about few general frequency considerations and we have seen the conceptual testing of a frequency response and we have also seen the concept of a bandwidth. Then later on we have seen an example illustrating an importance of frequency response in explaining the question that why people's voice over the phone sound different from their voices in face-to-face conversation. So really the answer was that the telephone system have a bandwidth up till 3.8 kilohertz. So any voice greater than 3.8 kilohertz will not be, passed through the telephone system. So that's why the person's voice is altered, right? And then later on, we have gone to knowing the fact that why we require to operate the circuits at a higher speed, right? And what are the different challenges, right? So we have applied a square wave pulse to an amplifier, and we have seen the difference in the responses of a fast and a slow amplifier. So in case of a fast amplifier, the output responds quickly to the input changes. Whereas in case of a slow amplifier, the output cannot keep up with the input changes. That's why you see a sluggish response. Then we have seen the motivation to study the high-speed circuits. And we have seen that the high-speed circuits are everywhere in the form of Wi-Fi, GPS, Bluetooth, radars, and microprocessors. Then we have seen a familiar example of a sluggish behavior in the form of a simple RC network, wherein we have applied a step and we have done the time domain analysis and the frequency domain analysis. And we were wondering that what could the circuit will be behaving like, right? So, and hence we have seen the need for a frequency response and which method to prefer, whether to go for time domain or whether to go for frequency domain. So we'll add on to this point in today's lecture. So let's start with circuit theory concepts. Now we are revising these concepts one more time, which will help you to properly analyze your frequency response. So let us begin. So let's consider the first circuit over here. So the first circuit, we have a simple, source V1, right? And in parallel, we have a capacitor C1. So the current flowing through the capacitor is considered to be I1. So in time domain, I can write the formula for this current as I will be equal to C dV by dt. So in this case, it will be I1 will be equal to C1 dV1 by dt. In frequency domain, however, we know that your capacitor will be replaced by S into C1. So what will be the formula for current? So the current formula will be I1 will be equal to SC1 into V1. Okay. So I1 will be equal to SC1 into V1. So therefore, we can rewrite this as V1 upon I1 will be equal to 1 upon SC1. And V1 upon I1 is nothing but your impedance, right? So if it was a resistor, we used to call it resistance. But in case of a inductor or a capacitor, we used to call it impedance. So your impedance of this network is XC1, which is 1 upon S into C1. So as you can see, it's very simpler to analyze in frequency domain than in the time domain. Now we will add a resistor. So resistor R1 is added. So now the current flowing through the resistor will create a drop. So it will be I1 R1 drop, right? And if we apply a KVL, it will be V1 minus I1 R1 minus I1. I mean, here it is I1, which is current flowing through capacitor C1 is equal to 0. So we can write V1 is equal to I1 R1 plus the current flowing through the capacitor is written by the formula as 1 upon C1 integral of I1 dt, right? So that's the formula, direct formula for a current passing through the voltage across the capacitor, right? Now, next, this is a differential equation which we need to solve because we have an integral sign. And now if we do the same thing in the frequency domain, how can we write it? So we have to just write V1 minus I1 R1 minus I1 into 1 upon SC1, right? That is the impedance. So we'll multiply the current I1 with the impedance offered by capacitor C1, that is 1 upon SC1, right? So we get finally V1 is equal to I1 R1 plus I1 divided by SC1. Now, as you can see, compared to the time domain counterpart, which is involving an integral sign, here in the frequency domain, it's a simple algebraic equation, right? Which is easier to solve. Therefore, one more time, the frequency domain has an upper edge compared to your time domain analysis. Now let's come to the third circuit. So in the third circuit, we have the applied input voltage V in, right? And the voltage is measured across the capacitor as V out. So over here, the current flowing through the capacitor will be C dV by dt, right? So in this case, it will be C1 dV out by dV, correct? Now we want to write the result in the form of V in and V out. So over here, we can apply a simple KVL. So it will be like V1 minus I1 R1. And what is I1? C1 dV out by dV. So it will be R1 C1 dV out by dV in, right? And minus V out is equal to 0. So V in minus R1 into this current minus V out is equal to 0. So we can easily write it as V in is equal to R1 C1 dV out by dV in plus V out is equal to V in actually. So this is again a differential equation. We have to solve it. It contains a differential derivative term, which is tedious to solve. Then in a frequency domain, we can consider this circuit as a voltage divider, right? So what will be the impedance of the impedance offered by the capacitance? It will be 1 upon SC1. So that much only we should remember. So how can we write this formula using voltage divider rule? So V out in terms of V in will be equal to, V out will be equal to 1 upon SC1 divided by 1 upon SC1 plus R1, right? That's the voltage divider formula. So into V in. So if you solve this further, you will get V out is equal to 1 upon R1 C1S plus 1 into V in. So basically, that's the reason why your output was attenuating in the previous analysis, because V out is equal to 1 upon R1 C1S plus 1 into V, right? So that's why output is a little bit of attenuated, as your frequency goes on increasing. Now, we can write V out upon V in is basically the gain of the system, which we can also call it as a transfer function of the circuit. So transfer function of the circuit is represented as H of S, which can be written as 1 upon R1 C1S plus 1. And this transfer function of the circuit will tell us how the input transfers to the output. Okay, you'll have studied the transfer function concept in your lower semester. So this is just a revision of it. Okay, so now let's proceed further. So we'll continue with some more circuit theory concepts. So S is generally a complex frequency, but we can assume S is equal to j omega. S is Laplace and j omega is the frequency domain. So we can equate S is equal to j omega if and only if the signal of interest are sinusoids, are sinusoidal in nature, right? For example, if H of S is 1 upon R1 C1S plus 1, we can convert into S equal to j omega. We can substitute S equal to j omega only if we consider the V in value to be sinusoid. Okay, so we can replace now S with j omega. So H of j omega will be equal to 1 upon j omega R1 C1 plus 1, right? So we have written the transfer function in the frequency domain, which is given by equation 1.2.1, right? Now this was the fourth concept. Now we'll come to the fifth concept of circuit theory. So a complex number A plus JB can be expressed in polar form, right? So we can draw the X and Y axis. X axis is the real, Y axis is imaginary. So basically it is actually JB, right? And on the X axis we have A. So here we mark A plus JB and this angle is my phase, right? So how do we write the magnitude of this? Magnitude can be written as square root of A square plus B square. And the phase can be written as tan inverse of B by A, right? So these two quantities, that is magnitude and phase concept, will be relevant to the frequency response. That's why it is so important. Now the earlier equation of H of j omega, if we find the magnitude, how can we write it? So mod of H of j omega will be equal to 1 upon square root of R1 square C1 square omega square, okay, plus 1. Because, this we can easily write it down over here, right? So mod of H of j omega will be 1 upon square root of R1 square, C1 square, omega square plus 1. So we have converted your transfer function in frequency domain into a magnitude of that transfer function, mod of H of j omega, right? Now let's proceed further. So yeah, we are rewriting this formula. Mod of H of j omega is equal to 1 upon square root of R1 square, C1 square, omega square plus 1. So mod of h of j omega is nothing but your magnitude of the transfer function. So this equation 1.2.2 is telling us something about the output amplitude when the input is a sinusoid. Okay, I repeat, it's a very important concept. This magnitude response of the transfer function is telling us something about the output amplitude when the input is a sinusoidal signal. Now, if you look carefully in this equation, if omega is equal to 0, right, what will be h of j omega? It will be 1 upon square root of 0 plus 1, which will be 1, right? And when omega is equal to infinity, 1 upon square root of infinity will be h of j omega, mod of h of j omega will be 0 itself. So that means at very low frequency, the circuit passes the input as it is with a gain of 1. Because h of j omega is nothing but the gain, right, in frequency domain. And at a very high frequency, when omega is the angular frequency, so at very high frequencies, the circuit will not pass anything at the output, right? So let's represent that in the form of a frequency response, right? So what is this graph? This graph is omega versus h of j omega, mod of h of j omega, right? And we have normalized it to 1. So for low frequencies, for omega equal to 0, the h of j omega value is 1. And for very high frequencies, its value is infinite. Now, this is just an assumption that it might behave like this, right? And x-axis is the increase in the input sinusoidal frequency, and omega is given by 2 pi f, where f is the frequency measured in hertz, and omega is the angular frequency measured in radians per second, right? So what this graph will signify? This graph might signify that all of the low frequency signal is going to the output from the input with a gain of 1. So that means this circuit will pass low frequency signals or slow sinusoidal signals. So this is the circuit, right? So this circuit is passing a low frequency very well with a gain of 1. But as the frequency goes on increasing, so that we have a faster sinusoidal signal or a high frequency signal, then what will happen is the circuit attenuates more and more, and we get eventually nothing at the output, right? So that's the explanation for the frequency response of the simple RC network. I'll keep the screen over here for 10 seconds. If you have doubts, you can ask. See that, remember that we are just assuming that it might behave like this. We will be having a detailed analysis of how to plot the low frequency response of a simple RC circuit very soon in today's lecture only. Yeah, so let's move on to the next point now. So, yeah, so how to compute the frequency response in general, right? If we want to find the frequency response of a circuit, how to do that? Number one is determine the transfer function h of s, assuming that input is a sinusoidal signal. Then replace s with j omega. That means in Laplace to frequency domain. So you change h of s to h of j omega. Then you compute a magnitude of that frequency h of j omega. That will be mod of h of j omega, which is nothing but the magnitude or frequency response. So we have done this for a simple example. We have taken a RC network. We have applied the input and we have measured the output. And mod of h of j omega came out to be 1 upon square root of R1 square, C1 square, omega square plus 1. Okay. Now, this is the frequency response which we get, right? Now, one measure of goodness of the circuit is its bandwidth. So what is bandwidth? The range of frequencies over which the gain of the amplifier almost remains constant, right? So over here, we have, we have seen this typical behavior before. Today, we will be simulating the circuit in LT-Spice and verifying the same. So at low frequencies, the signal will go through. So signal will go through when your capacitor might behave as an open circuit. So as it is, the signal will pass, right, with a gain of 1. So that will happen for low frequencies. And for any frequency greater than omega naught, right, your output will be tending towards 0. That means we'll get nothing at the output, as we have predicted earlier. And omega naught is nothing but your cutoff frequency or minus 3 dB frequency. It is equal to 1 upon R1 C1. You will see that how do we got that. And when you go 3 dB down, right, if you can convert this into, this is now 1 in magnitude. If you convert this into dB, that will be 0 dB, right? So 20 log to the base 10 of 1. Kindly do that. 20 log to the base 10 of 1 If you do that, you will get a 0 as answer in log. That means it is a 0 dB. So you have to go 3 dB down and locate the point over here in the x-axis, and that will be your cutoff frequency. In this case, it is omega naught. Now let's proceed forward. So over here in this circuit, our cutoff frequency will be omega naught is equal to 1 upon R1 C1. And omega naught is nothing but 2 pi f. So 2 pi f naught is equal to 1 upon R1 C1. So your f naught, which is your cutoff frequency, will be given by 1 upon 2 pi R1 C1. Right? So now let's understand why the circuit attenuate at frequencies above the cutoff frequency omega naught. Okay. So what is XC1 given by impedance of the capacitor? 1 upon j omega C1. XC1 will be 1 upon j omega C1. So at very low omega values, your XC1 value is very large. And a large impedance is represented by a capacitor being open circuit. Okay. That's why the signal will go through as it is for low frequencies. And at very high value of frequency, XC1 will become very, very small. And a low impedance is represented by a short circuit. That's why a capacitor will behave as a short circuit, and we get nothing at the output at very high frequencies above omega 0. Okay. So now what we will do is we'll simulate the circuit in LTSpice and conclude that this is the behavior of a simple RC network as shown in the diagram. Yeah. So let's do that. Let me just close this and open LTSpice window for your reference and open a new schematic. I'll quickly take a resistor and a capacitor. So let me go back to the circuit again. So I have a resistor over here and a capacitor over there. Okay. So I will take a resistor, attach it over here. Then we require a capacitor, and then we require a voltage source also. So I've selected a voltage source. I have to connect them together. It's pretty simple. Connect them together quickly. Yeah. And also I have to connect the ground. So I'll take the ground over here and connect that with a wire. Very quickly we'll simulate it. Now we want to check the frequency response. So I'll go to right click over here, go to advanced, and I go give the AC amplitude as 1, right? And the resistor value, I can give it as around 1 kilo ohms. And the C1 value will be 0.1 microfarad. So one can quickly calculate the value of F naught. So over here, F naught value will be 1 divided by 2 into pi into R1 into C1. Okay. So I will do it myself in the calculator. 1 divided by 2 pi into R1 is 1K and C1 is 0.1 microfarad. So the value is coming out to be 1.591 kilohertz. Okay. This is the calculated value. This is the calculated value of the cutoff frequency for this circuit, right? Now we have to plot this. So for plotting, I will label this as Vout, right? And I will be going to simulation. So in simulation, we have to go to AC analysis. Type of sweep will be decade. Number of points can be 10. Start frequency, I'll keep it 10. Stop frequency, I have cutoff frequency as 1.59. So I'll keep it as 15K. And I click on OK. Blank screen will appear with x-axis as the frequency. Now over here, I'll click on the Vout, and here it is. I get the magnitude plot, which is your dash lines over here, which is the bold one. And the dotted one is my phase plot. I don't want to phase plot, so I'll right click and delete the phase plot. Okay. So this is exactly what we are getting over here as 0 dB, right? So I can change that to linear plot. Maybe logarithmic plot. Yeah. So as you can see, this is the gain of 1. So let me show it to you all. Let me keep the windows open, both the windows open together, so that we can have a look at it very carefully. Yeah. So now this was the circuit which we were talking about. And this is exactly the same circuit. Yeah, R1, C1, simple RC network. And we found out the cutoff frequency to be 1.591, right? And over here, this is the plot we were expecting, right? And that is what we are getting, exactly the same manner. Over here, this is the gain of 1. And if you come 3 dB down, if I convert that into dB, right, in decibels. If I go over here and see, this is 1 only, right? This will be 0 dB. And if you have to go 3 dB down and then measure the frequency omega naught. So I'll do that. I'll place the cursor over here and I'll move it down unless it is minus 3 dB. Okay. So it's very close to minus 3. So if I expand it, I can calculate the exact point of that. Okay. So this is around minus 2.99. If I further expand it, I can go to 3, minus 3, almost. Yeah. So this is minus 3.00, right, in dB. So minus 3.00, what's the frequency? So frequency is 1.588, right? And what did we get by calculation? 1.59. And we are getting 1.58. So that's very nice. That's very close. So over here, we are getting around, let me add a comment over here. F naught is, this is F naught by simulation. So F naught value is 1.588 by simulation. And by calculation, it's coming out to be 1.591, right? So basically, whatever we have predicted for the circuit, it's exactly behaving the same way, right? So for lower frequency, it's passing the signal with a gain of 1. And as we move on beyond the cutoff frequency of around 1.59 kilohertz, it will keep on attenuating, right? Its gain is keep on reducing. So that's why this simple RC have this kind of a behavior that it will pass low frequencies, but it will reject all the higher frequency signal above omega naught. And omega naught, we have already found out its value is around, if we put it to minus 3, yeah, 1.588 or 1.59, close to that. Okay, fine. So I think this is clear now, right? With a simple demonstration in LT-Spice, you all can also try it out and check it out, this behavior. Okay, so there shouldn't be any problem in understanding this now. So let's move on to the next topic. Actually, this was the part left from 1.2, AC 1.2. So let's begin with today's topic. So today we will continue, further discussing about few frequency response concepts, okay, such as poles and zeros, Bode plot rules, and finding poles by inspection. So these are the 3 topics which we'll be covering. Okay, so the first one is that we have converted a Laplace domain H of S into frequency domain H of j omega, and then we converted into the mod of H of j omega, which is nothing but the magnitude of the transfer function. So for this, we have considered a simple RC network, R1, C1, input applied over here, output taken across the capacitor. So your mod of H will be equal to 1 upon square root of R1 square, C1 square, omega square plus 1. Okay, so this is the frequency response over here of the circuit. So we have discussed this before, right? So this is in the frequency. This is frequency in hertz, F. And this is my cutoff frequency, F naught, which is 1 upon 2 pi R1 C1, right? At lower frequency, the capacitor will present a very high impedance and it will act as an open circuit. So the input will be passed, to the output without any problem. But as we go on increasing the frequency beyond the cutoff frequency F naught, your circuit will keep on attenuating the input, okay, unless we get nothing at the output, right? Now, in order to maximize the bandwidth, now F naught is nothing but my bandwidth of the signal, right? So if I of the circuit. So in order to maximize the bandwidth, there is a need to minimize R1 C1, right? And that is what we do, what the designer goal is. That's the challenge actually. So a quick conclusion over here is that capacitors are generally limiting the bandwidth. Okay, if you have a capacitor, wherever they are in the signal part, as the signal goes from the input to the output, you have to consider it. It's affecting the speed of the circuit. Also the bandwidth. As far as the speed of the circuit is concerned, capacitors are generally our enemy number one in most of the cases. Okay, so we should minimize the capacitors as wherever they are visible, right? So as soon as you decrease the capacitor, definitely the F naught value will increase, right? You can do that in LT-Spice and check also, right? Instead of 0.1, you can give 0.01 and check that the bandwidth will be increased by 10 times. Instead of 1.59, it will be like 15.59, 15.9. So you can check it out over here and do the simulation. I'm not doing it over here right now. So that's the quick conclusion on the capacitor, effect of capacitor on the frequency response. Now, let's see an example. So let's say that you have an kind of an amplifier. This is like a MOSFET amplifier. We don't have the biasing circuit, but it's understandable. We are applying an input sinusoid, right? And here we have a resistor connected to the drain terminal. And across the output, we have a capacitor CL, load connected. So we have a capacitive load, right? And here, how does capacitor CL will affect the speed of the circuit? How the amplitude of the output signal changes as the frequency changes. That is what we will be studying in the module number 1 about the low frequency and the high frequency analysis of BJT and MOSFET circuits, right? So in general, the circuit will execute a similar kind of a frequency response, right? At lower frequencies, gain will be GMRD, right? You can look it out. Your mod of AV, that is the voltage gain, will be GM into RD for a MOSFET. And after a particular cutoff frequency, the gain will fall down drastically as the frequency increases. And gain is nothing but my output frequency divided by my input frequency. And over years, your capacitor CL, the load capacitor, will limit the bandwidth. Okay, so we will be discussing this in detail. Now, next concept is about poles and zeros. So we have seen the transfer function H of S. So the numerator of the transfer function is nothing but the zeros. The roots of the numerator is nothing but the zero. And the roots of the denominator D of S is nothing but the poles, right? Now we'll go to the Bode plot. So Bode plot rules will help to approximate, to plot the approximate behavior of the frequency response, right? Now, whenever, let's consider this and let's see this in example. So as omega passes a pole frequency. So let's say that you have a pole frequency omega p. So if omega passes a pole frequency, the slope of mod of H decreases by 20 dB per decade. Okay, the slope of the transfer function, magnitude of the transfer function decreases by 20 dB per decade. We'll come back to this. What is this 20 dB per decade? But let's consider this as an example. If before omega p, my gain is almost constant at 0 dB, then after passing omega p, it will decrease at a rate of minus 20 dB per decade. Okay. In the next example, if we see carefully, earlier the slope was of mod of H slope was plus 20 dB per decade. And after passing omega p, the slope decreases by 20 dB per decade. So this was increased and then decreased, and it will be a constant slope, okay, with omega, right? So if you have such kind of situations, if omega passes a pole frequency, the slope of the magnitude of transfer function mod of H decreases by 20 dB per decade. Now let's understand what is 20 dB per decade. 20 dB is the magnitude of gain in logarithmic scale, and decade means increase in the frequency by a factor of 10. So let's understand what is this 20 dB per decade mean. So that means that if the frequency goes up by a factor of 10, your magnitude of the gain also changes by a factor of 10. Now, if you have a magnitude gain as a factor of 10, then 20 log to the base 10 of that gain will be 20 dB itself. So you can do that in a calculator. Take 20 log of natural log of 20 into natural, log to the base 10 of 10. That will come out to be 20 dB itself, right? So that means if frequency changes by a factor of 10, your magnitude of gain also changes by a factor of 10 or 20 dB. Okay, so that's what the meaning of this 20 dB per decade means. Okay, now let's proceed forward. I hope that you have followed this Bode rule. Next is that if omega passes a zero frequency, right? So omega z is a zero frequency. The slope of mod of H increases by 20 dB per decade. So let's say that earlier the magnitude was 0 dB, And now after passing the zero frequency, it's increasing at the rate of 20 dB per decade. Let's say the earlier the gain was increasing at the rate of 20 dB per decade. After passing a zero frequency, it's increasing at 40 dB per decade. So that's what the Bode rule number 2 says, right? So with this Bode rules, it becomes much easier to plot the frequency response of the circuit, right? Now, let us just consider a simple example, which we have considered earlier. So we have a simple RC network, right? And H of S was already calculated. It was 1 plus R1 C1 S plus 1. Okay, R1 C1 S plus 1. So you can equate the numerator to denominator to 0. So you will get S equal to minus 1 upon R1 C1, right? So the pole frequency omega P will be equal to minus 1 upon R1 C1, right? Okay, so in this plot also, your magnitude of mod of H, we have seen this plot, right? But according to the Bode rule, what will happen? Before omega P has reached, right, the magnitude of the transfer function, that is mod of H, is almost giving a gain of 1 or 0 dB. And after the omega P frequency has reached, which is 1 upon R1 C1, your gain decreases at the rate of minus 20 dB per decade. We have applied omega is the log scale, and we have applied the Bode plot rule number 1. That means if omega passes a pole frequency, its slope will change by a factor of minus 20 dB per decade. And that's exactly how the circuit will behave, right? So your Bode rule, applying a Bode rule will make our life very simpler. Okay. Now we will see a new, we will interchange the R1 and C value. The C1 will be over here and R1 will be in the parallel, and we'll see how the circuit will behave. Okay. So we call this topic as the concept building for the low frequency analysis of a simple RC net circuit, right? We will be doing the detailed analysis of this now, right? So over here, we have a capacitor C1, input V in, and we have a resistor connected R1. So your voltage is taken in parallel with this resistor R1, right? Now, you will get exactly reverse plot. So over here, the capacitive impedance XC1 will be 1 upon 2 pi F C1, right? So for low frequencies, what will happen? The reactance offered, let's say that FL is my cutoff frequency. Again, the value will be 1 upon 2 pi R1 C1 is the same thing. Cutoff frequency will remain the same. But over here, below the cutoff frequency, the circuit will start attenuating and the output will be tending towards 0. And the voltage gain also will be tending towards 0. Why? Because as the frequency decreases, your XC1 increases. And as your XC1 increases, for frequency equal to 0, your XC1 reaches infinite value. Therefore, if your impedance reaches infinite value, it is represented by an open circuit. So if it is represented by open circuit, your Vin will never reach the Vout now. So hence your Vout will be reaching towards the 0 level. So that's why for all the frequencies below FL, the circuit will attenuate the input. And after FL, what will happen is your voltage gain will be 1 and your output will be equal to input. All your input will be passing through the output. So as the frequency increases beyond FL value, your XC1 keeps on decreasing. And at a very high frequency, your XC1 tends towards 0. So if an impedance tends towards 0, it is replaced by a short circuit. Therefore, over here, as you can see, C1 is replaced by a short circuit. Therefore, whatever is the input applied, same as the output. That means the circuit has a gain of 1, right? So therefore, this kind of a behavior is justified. Now over here, how do we calculate the cutoff frequency? Let's say the highest gain over here is 1, right? So you go 1 by root 2 times below. Or if you want to convert this into dB, you can see that you have to go 3 dB down. This mod of AV will be 1, which will be 0 dB, right? And if you go 3 dB down, you mark the frequency FL, and that is nothing but my bandwidth of this system, right? Now we will see in detail how we can plot, how we get this plot in detail with, with mathematical results. Now, let us continue further. So I can apply a voltage division rule over here, V out in terms of V in, right? So what I can write, R1 divided by R1 plus XC1, okay, into V. So that is obtained by voltage division rule. Now I can say that, mod of V out upon V in will be equal to R1 divided by square root of R1 square plus XC1 square, right? And for special cases, if we consider that the impedance offered by the capacitor C1 is equal to the resistance R1, then we can rewrite this V out upon V in is nothing but AV, voltage gain. So R1 divided by R1 square plus XC1 square. So that is actually twice R1 square. So R1 and R1 will get cancelled and you will get 1 upon root 2. So we can write V out is equal to 1 upon root 2 times V, or 1 upon root 2 is nothing but 0.707 times V in. Okay, so your mod of AV, voltage gain, will be V out upon V in, which will be 1 upon root 2, which will be equal to 0.707 if the reactance offered by the capacitor is equal to the resistance R1. So this means that at frequency FL, your XC1 is equal to R1 and the output will be 70.7% of the input. Remember this, it's a very, very important concept, right? At the cutoff frequency FL, your XC1 over here in this circuit will be equal to R1, right? XC1 will be equal to R1. And when that happens, your output will become 70.7% of the input. Remember that. So if XC1 is equal to R1, XC1 is what? 1 upon 2 pi F into C1. So FL over here, the cutoff frequency will be equal to 1 upon 2 pi R1 C1. Okay, so as you can see, the cutoff frequency formula is same. Now, how do we get that 3 dB down? Okay, in the plot, now we have a 3 dB down, right? How do we get that minus 3 dB? We'll discuss that. So 20 log to the base 10 of 1 upon root 2. So what is this? 1 upon root 2, right? This 1 upon root 2 is 0.707. So if you take this in decibels, if you convert 20 log to the base 10 of 1 upon root 2, it will be minus 3 dB, right? And 20 log to the base 10 of 1, gain, when gain is 1, your in decibels, it will be 0 dB. So minus 3 dB, there is a 3 dB drop. There is a 3 dB drop in the gain from a midband level when F is equal to FL, right? So this is basically called as a midband level, right? This is the midband level 1. And whenever you go 3 dB down, that means you have gone 70.7% times down. Okay, 1 upon root 2 is 0.707 of the input. So that's why we go 3 dB down, right? And now if you further simplify this, V out upon V in AV is equal to V out upon V in R1 upon R1 plus, over here we have, right, XC1. Now, if I write it in terms of minus J XC1, so what you will get? Okay, so AV is equal to V out upon V in is equal to R1 divided by R1 minus J XC1, right? So here I'll take R1, I'll divide numerator and denominator by R1. So I'll get 1 upon 1 minus J times XC1 upon R1, right? And what is XC1 basically? 1 upon 2 pi F C1. So over here in this formula, we have 1 upon 1 minus J into 1 divided by 2 pi F C1 R1, right? So we can represent this frequency as FL divided by F. Okay, where FL is nothing but 1 upon 2 pi R1 C1, which is nothing but my lower cutoff frequency. So I can write this formula in final form as AV is equal to 1 upon 1 minus J FL upon F. Okay, very, very important result, right? And 2.1.10. So if I want to convert into magnitude form, I can take mod of AV will be equal to 1 upon square root of 1 plus FL upon F the whole square, right? And this is the plot we get. I mean, this is the plot we were getting, right? And here we can conclude that at F equal to 0, at F equal to 0, your voltage gain is 0. As you go on increasing the frequency value, your AV also goes on increasing. At F is equal to FL, your mod of AV will be equal to 1 upon root 2, right? At F equal to FL, it will be 1 plus 1, that will be 1 upon root 2. This is equal to 0.707. And whenever my value of F is much greater than FL, then my AV will be approximately equal to 1 only, right? So that is what is observed in this frequency response also. And FL is the frequency at which the gain falls to 0.707 times its maximum value. So its maximum value is 1. And at the cutoff frequency FL, the gain falls down by 3 dB or 0.707 times the maximum value of the gain. Now, what do we do next is we express the magnitude response of the transfer function in terms of dB. So what do we get? Mod of AV. Actually, this should be mod of AV in dB will be 20 log to the base 10 square root of 1 upon square root of, 1 upon square root of 1 plus FL upon F the whole square. Okay. So we will analyze this equation carefully now. So in the low frequency range, as the frequency F increases, your voltage gain mod of AV in dB also increases. At F equal to 0.01 times FL, you can check it out. You can convert this also. At F is equal to 0.01 times FL, right? Your F value is 0.01, right? So your mod, over here we have gain, right? Voltage gain, mod of AV in dB. Let me change this first. Okay. So here I can write it as, yeah, now it is okay. Mod of AV in dB. So you can try it out in a calculator. That will be 20 log to the base 10, 1 divided by square root of 1 plus, what's the value over here? F is equal to 0.01 times FL, right? So that means it will be 100 square. And you are getting around minus 40 dB. You can check it out in your calculator. I'm getting minus 40.086. That is minus 40 dB itself. And then when you increase the frequency by a factor of 10, if F is now 0.1 times FL, so mod of AV has become minus 20 dB, right? That means the frequency is increased by 10-fold, that is by 1 decade. So it means that when the frequency is increased by 1 decade, the gain is increasing by 20 dB, right? So earlier it was minus 40. Now, as the frequency has increased by a factor of 10 or by a decade, your gain is falling by a factor of 20 dB, increasing by a factor of 20 at F equal to FL. So in this formula, if you substitute F equal to FL, it will be 20 log to the base 10 1 upon root 2, which will come out to be minus 3 dB itself, right? And at F is equal to greater than FL. If the value of F is very much greater as compared to FL, then we will get mod of AV in dB will be approximately equal to 0 dB only. That means the gain will be 1. So which cases can we consider F should be greater than or equal to FL? 10F, 10 square FL. That means it is 100 times FL or 10 raised to 3 times FL. For this frequency, your voltage gain will be approximately equal to 0 dB itself. That means gain of 1. So what we have done is we have collected all the information together and we have plotted this graph. So how this graph is plotted, very, very carefully listen. So x-axis is nothing but my log of F, and my y-axis is in the negative quadrant because the gain is coming out to be negative, right? Because it's attenuating. So this 0 dB means the gain of 1, right? And here we have started with the frequency 0.01 FL. So at 0.1 FL, your gain is minus 40. We have determined that over here, minus 40. You can cross check in the calculator also. Then for 0.1 FL, the gain has become minus 20 dB. For FL value, it has become minus 3 dB. And then at 10F, 10 square FL and 10 cube FL, the value has gone towards 0 dB. That is gain of 1. So this is the exact plot which we are getting, right? And the rate, roll-off rate means the rate of fall of gain, right? So below FL, the circuit will attenuate at the rate of minus 20 dB per decade, right? After FL, it will pass all the frequencies. So the circuit, our circuit which we have analyzed, is passing all the higher frequencies, but blocking all the lower frequencies. And what do you mean by this Bode approximation? You remember in the Bode approximation, you used to have a straight line. So this is the Bode approximation which we have used earlier, and this is the exact response. So as you can see, both are quite similar. Okay, so this is the entire plot which we are getting, right? Detailed frequency response, one step by step. We have built up this in step-by-step fashion. And now FL, there are different names for FL. So FL is also called as a lower cutoff frequency, minus 3 dB frequency, corner frequency, or break frequency. All the names are for the FL. Okay. So this is a very, very important concept. Even if you study amplifiers, you will be getting similar kind of a, frequency plots. Yeah. So now let's move on. Let's take some, let's do some simulation. So what we will do is we'll simulate this circuit. We'll consider the value of C1 and R1 the same as before. And that's it. We will interchange C1 and R1. And we are expected to get this kind of a graph plot. Okay. And your cutoff frequency is coming out to be 1.591. So if I convert that into FL, 0.0 that will be 15.91 hertz. At 15.91 hertz, my voltage gain is minus 40 dB. At 159 hertz, it's around minus 20. 1.59 kilohertz, it is around minus 3 dB. And for remaining frequencies, the voltage gain, over here, the voltage gain will be 0 dB itself. So let's simulate this circuit and check it out. So over here we have, we have to simulate this. We have capacitor over here and resistor over here. So we'll have to interchange them. So let's interchange them now. So capacitor, we have to add it over there. So I will rotate it and add it over here. And this resistor also I have to rotate. Okay, and add it over here. That's it. And I'll connect it with the wire. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to simulate. So the cutoff frequency is the same. Only thing is that the higher cutoff frequency, we can increase to a higher value. Let's say we have increased to, let's say, 1500K. Okay. And now we are running the simulation again. So we are getting exactly the same plot as you can see over here, right? This is 0 dB. Let me show it to you over here also. If you see carefully, this is the same plot, right? On the left-hand side, we have estimated it by the analysis. Let me take it slightly so that both the plots are visible together. Yeah. So I guess both the plots are visible now. So at 0.01 FL, that is 15.91 hertz, your gain should be minus 40 dB. So let's check that. At 15, around minus 40, where it is, let's check. Yeah, this is 40, minus 40 dB, right? And the frequency is around 15.76 hertz. So it's quite similar, quite nearby. So 15.9 value or 15.76, the gain is around minus 40 dB. Now let's check the next value at minus 20 dB. So around approximately minus 20 dB, the frequency is 156. So 159. Yeah, it's approximate value. So it's coming correctly. And now at 3 dB, minus 3 dB. So this is minus 3 dB. The frequency is around, as you can see clearly, the cutoff frequency is 1.592. And in theoretical, we got it as how much? 1.591 kilohertz. So it's behaving exactly in the same fashion. And now we check it at around, the frequency 15.91. So at a 15.91 frequency, I'll go to a frequency of 15.9 something. Okay. Yeah, 15.84 is equal to 15.9. And the magnitude of the voltage gain is minus 43.64 milli dB. So it is 0.04 dB and minus that, right? And if you go to higher values, it will keep on reducing, as you can see. So if I go to, let's say, 1.59 megahertz, right? So it's this is 1.5 megahertz. So see the value. The value of the magnitude gain is minus 4.88 micro dB. So that is 0.00004. So as you can see, it is almost 0 dB once you cross FL value, right? So yeah, so this exactly explains what we were discussing about so far and how we have built up this plot. Okay, I hope that these concepts are very, very clear to you, right? Why it is a 0 dB, why we take a 3 dB down, and why this rate is 20 dB per decade. Because if I change my frequency from 15 to 159, 15.9 to 159, my gain is changing by 20 dB. So therefore it is minus 20 dB per decade. Okay. So yeah, I think we have come to the end of this session and we have discussed a very important topic and we have laid the foundation for analyzing the frequency response of your BJT amplifier and MOSFET amplifier. So with this, we conclude today's session, and next time we will start with low frequency response of BJT amplifier. So until then, have a good day and thank you.